Our leaves are done, and there are any number of things that we can do to make the flower more interesting. We could separate each of the petals the way we did the leaves, but since we've already done that, let's take a different approach. In generations, a complex fill can have only one stitch angle, and you can see that our stitch angle on the petals is that direction. Instead, I'd rather have the stitches radiate out from the center like spokes on a bicycle wheel. With my flower activated, I'm just going to choose radial from the quick bar. And now our stitch type has been changed. If we turn on 3D, we can see what we have going on. This hot pink dot in the center is a control point, and it's the point at which all the stitches radiate from. If I move that and regenerate, you'll see now the stitches are radiating out from the new point. We'll move it back and generate. Now 3D is not highly accurate. It does render the thread thicker than it really is, but it is useful for checking layering, stitch angles, and stitch patterns. And you can see that we have sort of a odd stitch pattern here. I kind of think of radial as a cross between a complex fill and a satin. It has the underlay stitch type of a complex fill. It has the stitch patterning of a satin. So let's see if we can apply a different stitch pattern and make it look a little flatter. So I'll go to the radial tab, I'll click Use Pattern, select Pattern, and we'll just use this first one. Click OK. Let's change the density to 0.45, which we could also do down here on the quick bar, and change the minimum step to 0.5. And OK. There's still a pattern going on. We really won't know for sure how that's going to look until we test sew it. Just because we've created a design on the screen does not make it an embroidery. It doesn't become an embroidery until you test sew it on fabric or other substrate with thread. That's when it becomes an embroidery design. Next, let's add some veining or shading here on the inside. I'll leave 3D. I'll copy, paste, and let's change this to the same color as the center. Press the space bar, and we're going to change a few settings here. I'm going to turn off Use Compensation and use Underlay. On the Radial tab, I'm going to change the density to 6. I'm going to disable stitch shortening. You can read about stitch shortening in Anatomy of a Design and in the course. And there we have some veins all radiating out from the center. They go all the way out to the edges. Let's change that. We'll start by shrinking our flower a little bit. Maybe shrink it a little bit more. Right click it, then press the space bar and click Use Feather Stitch. I'm going to set the positive to 0. I don't want it to extend out beyond the lines, but I want it to come in quite a bit. So let's try 8, see how that looks. We can trial it this way. That looks pretty good. We might want to shrink our flower some more. Now see these stitches out here? These are travel stitches. Let's see if we can get rid of those. So we'll select our shading. We'll go to Edit, Select, Invert Selection, Hide. And now it makes it easy just to work on that one part and none of the others. So let's see what happens if we move our in up here. Well, that didn't help much. How about if we do this? Sometimes you can kind of see where the start and stop points are. Let's zoom up. Right click. And there we've got it fixed. I don't really like to have the in and out points out here. I'd rather have them in here. The in and out points are going to determine where the tie-offs are. If we have our out here, there is going to be a tie-off there, and it could be a little naughty looking blob. And I'm not particularly fond of that. But sometimes we have to put the in and outs where generations won't have any travel stitches. Let's show our whole flower. Zoom back out. Move this up in the sewing position. Let's kind of get a little bit more centered. We could get rid of the extensions underneath the center. I'm not too worried about it. They're not too bulky. The last thing we might want to do is change the fill pattern on our center. Let's turn on 3D so we can see what's going on. We'll press the space bar, move our dialog box over to the side, click the complex tab, click select pattern, and now we can select a pattern. And you can make your own patterns. Generations comes with quite a few already, but it's really easy to make your own. So I'll pick this one. Click apply. I kind of like that. We'll go with that. So there's our flower. Save it, check it for efficiency, and test sew it. You want to make sure that there are no unnecessary trims, the travels are all efficient, and you do watch that when you sew it as well. Although this was a pretty simple piece of artwork, there are really a lot of ways that it could be interpreted. You could do it as thread work, you could do it as applique, cut work, fringing, all sorts of things that you could do to this very simple piece of artwork. Once you get comfortable with the tools and what they can do, your designs are going to become so much more interesting. As time goes by, you'll probably find that you use less auto-digitizing and instead you can get what you want more quickly and accurately by manually creating all of the elements one at a time. The full Learn to Digitize course can take you there.